Hey y'all, it's Sarah. I wanted to make this video just to talk a little bit about how I crafted my UC Personal Insight essays and give you a little bit of a taste of what I actually started with in my essays, and then talk about kind of what I focused on and what I think, reading back over the years, what I think really made my essay stand out and how I got into UC Berkeley. So I'll read you a snippet of the beginning of one of my essays and then kind of dive into what I think was really important about it. So I started with, "You're pretty fast for a girl," he said. I froze, hearing the words and desperately trying to comprehend them. I fixed my gaze on the boy, feeling overwhelmed by simultaneous anger, surprise, and confusion. The shock startled me as an awful feeling sunk deep into the pit of my stomach, so sickening that I couldn't bring myself to respond. For a girl, I thought? At the time, I was well aware of the fact that I was faster than most of my peers, and I wasn't blind to the fact that the boys in my class were astonished when I outran them in the monthly mile run during PE. I knew I was athletically capable, and although no one else expected it, I fully anticipated finishing faster than my co-ed group of peers. In a way, that pride in my own athletic strength made the shock even more disturbing. No matter how fast I ran, and no matter how confident I was in my abilities, I would always be just pretty fast for a girl. So this is how I started one of my UC Personal Insight essays. And I struggled a lot when writing. I thought of all of the ways that I wanted to represent myself, what I wanted to include in my essay, how I wanted to stand out. And it was really, really hard to actually come to a conclusion and focus on, the thing that I thought would be most important and would really set me apart from other people. And at the end of the day, and also after having, several years to kind of read my essay back and reflect on what I think really were the strengths of my writing, I came up with three main things, and the first of which was using my immediate passion and even a very small event that happened in time to communicate my existential passion. Using that small moment to convey the life-altering shift that went on in my brain when I realized, this is something that's important to me. I realized how much athletics meant to me, and I also realized, in that moment, what somebody saying that to me, what that really meant to me, and how that pushed me to be angry, to be confused, to be kind of scared of my future. What could I really do as a woman, as a female athlete, to really be recognized in that world? And so that was a really big moment for me. And I think using the small details were really important in crafting this bigger narrative, better than I could say with any vague statements or anything like that. I really had a moment that touched my heart. And so I think using that in my essay really stood out to those admissions officers. And at the end of the day, I do want to say, in this way, a lot of times your essays do not have to be about something completely unique and life-altering and crazy that happened to you. But a lot of times the most compelling essays are experiencing maybe mundane moments or just moments in time that to other people might pass by without them really giving it a second thought. But using your own words and being able to articulate what those moments mean to you and what you take from them is super, super important in your essays. So it could be a small moment just like this, a quote that sticks in your mind that really means a lot to you, that can make a world of difference in your essays. The second point that I think was really important for this essay was the fact that I used athletics, which was listed as one of my main extracurriculars. And so I expanded on those extracurriculars. I didn't just repeat what I had listed elsewhere in my essay, but I used that and I explained really why that was core to my values, what it meant to be a female athlete, and what it meant in terms of my own personal development. The way that it taught me discipline and gave me leadership role experience, and so much more. It pushed me to want to fight for my own equality as a female athlete and want to get people to recognize how much effort I would put into this sport and how I would always be looked at differently because I was a woman, I was a girl at the time. And so it brought up a lot about how me as a person, how I dealt with challenging situations in my life. And that was really eye-opening, I would say, for the admissions officers to see, how I deal with moments like that where I'm set back and I don't really know how to feel. I'm bogged down by a lot of confusing emotions, right? And so using this extracurricular, it's something that I do after school, obviously. It's something I participate in, but showing that, an item on the list in my application means so much more than just what it is on that list. It means a lot about my own personal development, and that's really important to also convey. It kind of ties together your entire application as well. And then the last one I wanted to point out was vulnerability. Emotional vulnerability This, I think, was probably the biggest component in making this essay really strong. Because I want to say, first and foremost, there is so much strength in your ability to process complex emotions, no matter what they may be or no matter where they may stem from. If you go through life-altering experiences or you have feelings of self-doubt or things like that, that all makes you human. And colleges kind of want to know what you're struggling with and how you've persevered over time. It really paints a picture of who you are as a person. And so in this essay, I didn't want to shy away from those emotions because that was something that I was proud of. I was really proud of that development from, hearing someone say that to me feeling angry, to me feeling confused, afraid if I could ever, kind of prove them wrong, or angry especially because I wanted to prove them wrong, And so all of these emotions that I don't necessarily like to feel anger, but in that moment I did. And that showed really how I was as a person and how I pushed past that and made it kind of my mission to not only prove people wrong, but really do it for myself, realize that I could do it, and fight for those things in other areas of my life. So fight for gender equality, not only in sports, but in every aspect of my life and whatever career I go into, So it meant so much more than just that moment, and being vulnerable about that development and about that process of handling those complex emotions, learning from them and growing from them was really, really important in order to paint a whole picture of how my brain operates in, those crisis moments, but also just in general, anything that life is going to throw at me, I want to show my prospective college how I'm going to deal with it and how I'm going to be part of their community and really make it a better place. So vulnerability, emotional vulnerability, really show who you are to these people who are going to read your essays. So those 3 points, I would say, really, really made this essay a strong one, and I felt really confident in submitting it when I was applying to UC Berkeley, and it definitely worked out, and I'm still an athlete to this day, and I still definitely, above all, fight for gender equality, among other things. I think a lot of what they found really appealing about this essay was the social justice aspect of it, but also my connection to it and how I really felt a passion to be involved and to help other people avoid situations like this, that impacted me so heavily. And so it really stretched beyond just my own experiences, but it touched home at the same time. I had a really relatable experience, no matter how small or how big it is, to kind of push me to want to have a stake in those kind of issues in the future, in the Berkeley community and beyond. So definitely think about some of these points when you're writing your college essays. It doesn't, again, I want to remind you, it doesn't have to be, this huge life-altering moment, unique moment that nobody experiences in their life. It totally could be. But at the same time, just really think about, the small moments and how they really might mean more than you think they mean. And it just takes a little bit of reflection to kind of get there when you're writing your essays. But additionally, at Study Hall College Consulting, we are more than happy to help you with this process. The brainstorming process is really hard, and so we're happy to help you kind of think through those moments and really find the one that resonates the most with you and can support you in writing something that you are proud of when you turn it in. So if you are interested in getting a little bit of help with that, you can definitely visit our website at shcollegeconsulting.com and check out our services. But thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more great tips and advice in the future.